On today's show, you may remember him as the original American Gladiator Malibu. Please welcome Deron McBee.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Darren Malibu McBee coming live from, of course, Malibu Beach, California. What's up?
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Mike Grant Show. And today's special guest, you may remember him as Malibu, one of the original American Gladiators. Please welcome Deron McBee. Hey, Deron, how are you?
Oh, Mike, pleasure to be here, man. Totally stoked. Actually out in Irvine, California, and it's a beautiful, beautiful day out here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And what I want to know first, actually, is how did you become an American Gladiator? What did you do? How did you find out about it?
Well, it's really kind of a cool story because I was at the gym working out, and there was this guy sitting next to me, and he's reading a paper called Variety magazine. And Variety is a magazine that people don't know that talks about TV shows that are in production and pre-production. And he says, "Hey, Darren, this show looks like it might be really good for you. It's a brand new show, and they're looking for certain types of people." And I go, "What's the show called?" It's called American Gladiators. And I'm like, "Hmm." He goes, "You got to try out. They're having auditions tomorrow, and it's you got to run an obstacle course, and you got to do all these other things. But it sounds like you'd be perfect because they're looking for a surfer type guy to be on the show." And I thought, well, sweet. I'd grown my hair long, and I was in like super good shape at the time. And I said, "Yeah." So I just cruised on down there, and that's kind of how it got started.
Okay, so that original audition then was an obstacle course that you had to run. So
So we did
what
a
kind of
couple
things
things.
did they have you do?
Yeah. So an obstacle course was kind of the start. And then we had how many sit-ups you can do in like 60 seconds. And they had a couple simulations of the games in their infancy, like the pugil stick sting, you were fighting with the giant Q-tips, and they just want to see, who was athletic and who wasn't. And I just happened to kill it that day. I was, had a really good day. I was in really good shape and super excited about being there. So it turned out to be a blast. I had such a good time, and they were super excited. And they said, "Well, come on down for the oral interview where they come in and audition me." And so that was the next phase.
How many people do you think tried out to be a gladiator?
So in the beginning, that's a really good question. I think in the beginning, around 400 people probably. It got insane for tryouts the next season when the show had gotten so popular. There was literally a line of about 4,000 people just waiting to just try out to be on the Gladiators the next season. So the show had just blown up after one season. It was crazy.
So your character of Malibu, can you tell us what did they tell you about the character and how much of that did you have to make into your own?
Great question again. So this is the really cool part. On the audition, originally this character was supposed to be named Domino. And so they said, "Listen, we're going to interview you, but we want you to come in as this character, this beachy guy or whatever, and just be in total shtick. Just go on and kind of gimmick it out and have fun." And a gimmick is when you put it on a persona like the wrestlers do. So I said, "Sure." I bust open the door and I go, "What's up, everybody? What's happening?" And they said, "So Domino, tell me about yourself." I go, "Domino? Who's that? That's a pizza delivery dude. My name's Malibu, bro." And they fell out laughing. They just fell out, cracked up. And so it was right then I knew I like owned these people. They were having so much fun. I remember the desk had a bunch of stuff all over the desk. I knocked it all off, jumped on it, crossed my leg, and just sitting on the desk interviewing them. They were just cracking up. It was a blast.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to have stuck with that name Domino either. I think
Right?
Malibu was a
I
better
mean,
choice for you.
right? I mean, that's a pizza delivery guy,
Who would want that name?
right? No
And
kidding.
And now, when you were on the show, can you tell us what the training was like before, and how long when you were, training in the beginning until the show actually you filmed the first episode? How much training did you get before that original first episode?
You know what? We literally got one session, and it really wasn't the game. So the show is in its infancy, so they were still trying to figure out what they were doing with this show. They're waiting for it to get green lighted by the studios, and so they're putting these games together. And then basically, I think I had one tryout day where we got to kind of get to know what the games were, and then that was it. Good luck. They threw us out there and started filming, and none of us had ever done the show before, so it was pretty wild.
And then in the original stages, so you were in the first half of season one, and there were a few other gladiators. So I want to ask you about what it was like working with those gladiators. So there were three guys. So the
Right,
other two were Gemini and Nitro. So can
right.
you tell us a little bit about working with Gemini and Nitro?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Nitro and I became like really good friends right away because we got hired together. Gemini had done like a kind of like a trailer for the Gladiators that they had used to sell the show to the network. So they had already chosen Gemini. So I didn't meet him. But Dan and I came out together. We hit it off. We had a great time. I liked him. Nice guy, very cocky, a bit full of himself, but that was his persona. It's almost like as gladiators, we took our real personas in life and just blew them up 10 times 10. And that's Nitro. He was cocky and a bit arrogant, but also very cool, very handsome, great athlete. He blew that up times 10. And I think that's one of the great reasons why he and I were so popular because, he was kind of like, the bad angel on your shoulder. I was like the good angel on your shoulder. And like, it was good versus evil. People love that stuff. And Gemini, Mike was just kind of like Papa Gemini. He was kind of the leader. I mean, we stepped up. We just kind of took that command. He had that presence about him. He's a no nonsense guy. For him, Mike, it was about making money for his family. So he wasn't here for the glitz or the glam or the glory because he played pro football already. He had a wife and a children's mouth to feed. So at that point in time, he came in. And so he kind of really brought the group together in a super cohesive unit. And we kind of went from there. So it was really, really cool.
Yep. And then you did have three ladies on the ladies' side. So there was
Yep.
Zap, Lace, and Sunny. So can you tell
Yep.
us what it was like working with those three?
Sure. I didn't get to know Sunny super well, but man, what a great gal she was. She was super tall, very elegant. She looked like the typical, California girl, like a Barbie, a 6 foot, one tall Barbie. Really nice. I think she was a cyclist at the time, but unfortunately, again, when the games were still being tested on the Conquer ring, which was the wrestling ring, they had a like maybe a 4 foot, not 4 foot, a 4 inch high little wall around it where people have to step over and get into it. And that lip, her ankle got caught on that lip in the very first filming, and she broke her ankle the very first day she was filming. Um, and that was it. She was out of the show, which was really a shame. And then after that, they took that down. So it's like I said, when we started the show, they were still trying to figure everything out. So, as what I know about her, she was great. Lace, instant vibes between me and Lace. Marisa was a great gal. She was the smallest of us and probably the toughest of us. I mean, that girl just had just so much fire in that side of her, and yet beautiful at the same time. Zap Ray was really cool. She'd been in a movie before, maybe a couple of movies before. Loved her in this movie called Skin Deep, which is hilarious. Super professional, but really cool, really a cool girl.
Yep. And what was the work schedule like for you? Because I heard you guys had to you filmed multiple times playing the same event. So you did it for like several episodes.
Right,
So people at home think, oh, how come maybe you lost at this event? And it could be because you were tired because you were playing it
yeah,
three or four
yeah,
times in a row. So can you tell us
right,
about
right.
that?
Right. No, that's totally true because when we started, we had to film like 13 weeks of episodes in like 3 weeks. So we were doing like 5, 6 games of Powerball, one after another with different contenders throughout the day. So we'd be facing fresh guys that would come in, fresh contenders that wanted to just destroy us, and kick our butts. And after the fourth time, we were just exhausted because we're getting, beat up and thrown around. And people don't realize the Gladiators were getting hurt way more than contenders because we kept having to face new, fresh contenders again and again and again. So it was pretty crazy. I mean, it was pretty wild. And so I think we're filming. I remember getting there at like 7 in the morning and filming until 6, 7 at night sometimes.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to think because sometimes you may think, why did the Gladiators lose against
Yeah,
this littler person or something like
right.
that? And that was the reason. But back
And
at that time,
also,
we didn't know that.
right, Mike. And then also the thing was these contenders were great athletes. They were handpicked. They were no joke. And also, it's like a lot of them had that chip on their shoulder, like I always wanted to be a pro athlete or this or that. Now's my chance. And I get a chance to go up against that guy, that long-haired dude who's laughing, and I'm gonna kick his butt. So they like are fired up, and we're here just going, I want to have a paycheck, I want to be on TV, it's fun. And these guys are out for blood. So not only were they really super good athletes, but they were fired up. This is national TV, so it was no joke to them. So a lot of us, we just would go against them, and they would just literally beat us flat out because they were sometimes better than we were. It wasn't because we may necessarily been tired. That was part of it. But someone just actually beat us because they were better at that event.
And did you get to interact with them after the events, like after the show was done filming? Did you get to talk to the contenders a little bit and learn a little bit about them?
Yeah, again, our schedule was so tight that it was just boom, 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 and go home and go to sleep. Get up, boom, 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 do your show. And so not really. One guy I did get to know, but he wasn't on the show my season, was a guy named Two Scoops. And he was like the all-around champion. You probably heard of Two Scoops. And I remember I was doing a movie out in Fontana, California, and I happened to go into a gym to work out, and he was there. And if you look at him, he's just like a thin, good, well built black guy, but very thin, very unassuming looking. And I was working out, and he says, "Hey, you're Malibu." He says, "You want to see me do some bench press?" I go, "Heck yeah, let's see it." I'm expecting to do like half the weight I'm doing or whatever. This kid put on 315 pounds on the bench press and did it like 5, 6 times, and I'm going, "That's insane." This kid is like unhumanly strong. And then he goes, "Hey, look, you want to see me jump over my car?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah, I want to see you jump over your car." So he takes his car and puts it kind of in the middle of the driveway of the gym right there. And he takes about, I don't know, 15, 20 paces, and he runs full bore. And I'm like wincing. I don't want to see this. It's going to be ugly. And that cat jumped and literally flew over that car like freaking Spider-Man and landed on the other side. And I said, "Hey, would you mind doing that for me one more time? I don't believe what I just saw." And he did it again. It was amazing. So he's probably one of the greatest athletes that I've ever met, and a great, great guy, super cool guy.
Yep. And you did have some super cool events that you guys played too. So I want to go
Yeah,
over some of these
yeah,
events with you and get your thoughts on them. The first
sure.
one I want to ask you about, this one was always my favorite event, was Powerball. Can you tell me
Yeah.
how you liked playing Powerball?
Loved playing Powerball. I mean, loved it, loved it. I played rugby when I was younger, so I kind of liked it. I wasn't as good of a football rugby player as like say Nitro was, who played football, or Laser or Gemini, because these guys played like an upper echelon of these sports. But still, I loved it. I had a ball. The best part was I never got hurt on it, where these guys, got hurt a lot of times. And it was just fun. It was fast paced, chase these guys down and tackle them. It was a blast. But again, people don't realize how dangerous that is, because when you're clacking heads and bodies with people, in the first season, if you watch, Dan Nitro was tackling this guy and they hit head to head, and Nitro was knocked out on his feet. He was literally knocked, loopy for a bit. So they can be super dangerous. In the blink of an eye, you can twist a knee or tear a shoulder or anything like that. But a lot of fun, super fun.
And then another cool event was the joust up there with those Fugil sticks. Tell
Yes.
us what it was
Yeah.
like going up there doing the joust.
Oh, I hated the joust. I hated it. I think I was like about 50-50 on that one, to 60-40 on that. I actually did actually pretty well, probably better than 60/40, but it was a little bit freaky because when I did it, they had literally had like a drawbridge type of a deal, not like the two round discs that they had before. So you'd go on a drawbridge, and whoever lost, the drawbridge would open, you'd fall down. So that was a problem because people were getting hit on the drawbridge, getting hurt. So that was another one that went out. But um, I didn't like the part when you get hit in the head. It sounded like a shotgun went off in your helmet because there's the concussive force of those things that just make your ears ring. It was nuts. So not one of my favorite events, but some of the other guys, the Gladiators, loved it. It wasn't my favorite, one of my favorites.
Yeah, they did redo the joust after that
Yeah,
first part of the season there. And then another one was Breakthrough and Conquer. And which part did
yeah,
you like better? The Breakthrough or the Conquer?
breakthrough, breakthrough for sure because it was tackling. I was decent at that, but man, Conquer, I stunk on. I didn't know how to wrestle. Like Nitro was a wrestler; he was awesome. I didn't learn anything how because my legs are so long. These guys were tossing me out of the ring like right and left. It was so frustrating. So yeah, that gives me nightmares when I think about the Conquer ring for sure.
And then one that I was kind of surprised. I did like this event, but actually talking to fans and hearing things, this was actually their favorite event, was the Assault.
Yes, isn't that funny? It's
Yeah,
amazing.
I mean I did like the Assault, but I was
Yeah,
surprised that that was fit because I would have picked Powerball or the Joust, I
right.
would have thought, and
You
it's
would
actually
think
the Assault.
Right. You'd think the human to human contact would be more exciting, but people went nuts for the joust. I mean, I don't know why it resonated with so many people so much, but it was a lot of fun. I'll tell you that because when you would cock that ball in the chamber and there at the farthest post, that ball was coming out at 100 miles an hour to begin with. And then as they got closer and closer, they started potting down the power. So by the time they got close, it's going like 50 miles an hour. So they wouldn't get hurt. But man, it was fun. I mean, you get so into it when you're trying to shoot these guys, and the human drama of it is like just super exciting. So yeah, I love that one. I was pretty good at that one.
And then the Wall. What about the Wall?
Wall was probably my best event. I was undefeated on the wall. I did that one on the live tour, actually, not the live tour, but they had a dinner theater basically show in Florida that was kind of like a medieval times where people will sit in different sections and have dinner and then watch the gladiator show. So I had a wall there that was amazing. And I was like really good. Like that I was like Spider-Man on that one. I could fly up there and I caught every guy that went up. That was really fun for me. I really liked it.
And then unfortunately, we got to bring up one event that you didn't have a very memorable experience with. I think you know what we're all talking about, and the home
Human
audience.
cannonball. Human
Human
cannonball.
Cannonball. I mean, it was kind of fun to watch on TV, but not fun
Yeah.
that you got hurt.
Oh my gosh. You know how intimidating that is? You're standing like 15 feet in the air. You're on a little disc. You got a teeny little football blocking pad. And this guy is like 25 feet away and he's up in the air like 5 more feet high and he's swinging on you at you like Tarzan. And I'm telling you, I don't if they just barely hit you or tap you, you're going to get knocked off balance and fall off. And that's not terrible, but it's still the intimidation of them coming. Well, the first day, you saw what happened. America saw what happened. I'm standing there waiting for this guy, and Brian Hudson was his name. They hadn't tweaked it, just the cannonball again. They made some changes after this accident. I'm gonna tell you about. But he was swinging. He cocked his legs, and just as he came up, he stuck his legs out and hit me right up in the chest. And he hit me so hard, Mike, that I literally, if you watch it, I come up about 3 inches off the ground before I start flying back. So he hit me with just a force that was unbelievable. And it's like when I hit the ground, my left knee came over and hit me right in the forehead. And so I split my forehead open, had to get plastic surgery to repair the damage, and I knocked myself out. So I was literally unconscious, basically on my feet as they were walking me off after that. And I'm smiling and trying to do my best, but I was loopy. I didn't know what day it was. I didn't know where I was. I mean, I was out of it. And it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy.
Now, how many days in on the tapings did that happen to you?
Day one. That was the first. Welcome to American Gladiators, Malibu. That was the day one. And the thing was, you thought, okay, so going forward, I still had to do the human cannonball. And mind you now, I had a major concussion. When I was in the emergency room, the doctor got a plastic surgeon in and he sewed me up and he goes, listen, if somebody hits you in the head again, these sutures are going to split open and you're going to have an ugly zigzag scar that we can't fix. So don't get hit in the head. I'm thinking, oh, great. So the next doctor, I had to beg to let me go back to work because he told me, Malibu, if you get another concussion, it could be very serious. You could be in a wheelchair, disabled for life. This is no joke. And so I begged and pleaded. I said, this is my livelihood. This is the beginning of my career. Please let me go back. And so he did. So I had to do human cannonball again. But every time I got up there, I was nervous. I was scared. And I actually stood up a couple of times and didn't get kicked off, which was a miracle. So it was pretty crazy.
So you actually did then finish out the season.
I did. I did. I missed one day of filming and they put a guy named Bronco in there for a day.
Yeah.
So he filmed who I met on the tryouts originally. Another cool guy. I can't think of his name, but a cool guy. But they put him in, and as soon as I came back in, I went right back to work again. So I was there the day after I was injured.
Now, at that time, did they even have like any sort of medical insurance for you guys or anything like that? There was nothing, right?
Nothing,
And
nothing,
did
nothing.
you now did you think going into this? I know this is kind of in a way a dumb question, but did you think, oh, what happens if I seriously get hurt? What do I do? Did that ever cross your mind when you went on the show, or you just thought, hey, I'm young, I can do this?
It's a good question. I mean, I I've done a couple little movie projects here, and they're usually action figure, movies and stuff. But no, I had no idea. I was so excited that I was going to be on a national TV show, and the character, I owned that character. I made him my own. It was so much fun. I didn't even think about the injuries. I didn't think that I'd get hurt that bad. And neither did most of the other guys. We just were out there to have a good time. But um, there's been some wicked injuries. I mean, mine started them off, and I had issues for years with headaches and things like that from that concussion. And the sad thing was, you were right. They didn't talk about any kind of medical coverage or anything like that. I mean, it was like, okay, if you get injured and you can't come back, we got 10 other gladiators we can fill in your spot. So a lot of us was like, I don't care if I get hurt. I'm going to go back. I want to be on TV. I don't want to lose my spot or whatever. So unfortunately, because I was so hurt, I couldn't perform at the level that I knew I could perform at. I just couldn't. I was injured. I had headaches. I was also afraid if somebody hit me in the face and splitting that scar open. So that was the frustrating thing for me is America didn't get to see Malibu perform at his peak for sure, but I had a blast doing it. That's for sure.
Was there any sort of medical team on the set? Did they have a medical staff?
Not that I remember. They had a trainer, the guy that wrapped us up and things like that. But honestly, I don't remember there being anybody there. I don't know what the bylaws of, Screen Actors Guild are. I imagine they probably had some kind of medic standing by or fire personnel or something. But honestly, I never saw anybody. I mean, when I got hurt like that, no fire person came to me, no medical person came to see how I was doing. It was just the gladiators. I got in the car with my sister who happened to be there. She drove me to the hospital. So yeah, I don't remember anybody literally being readily available to help us when we got hurt. Probably afterwards, but not then.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to think that they didn't have somebody like that on set.
I know,
I'm
right?
sure nowadays you can't do that.
Again, a lot of changes happened after Malibu, right? A
Yeah.
lot of things changed.
But you did then you did the show, but then you did return for the live tour, right?
Yes, I did.
So so,
Right,
t- so
right.
tell us how that came about.
So we got a funny story about the live tour. I remember getting a call, and of course, I was super excited because after the first season, one of the producers did not like me at all. He didn't care that I was injured. He just didn't like my whole Malibu shtick and all that stuff. Um, of course, America loved it. They thought it was great. And if he was paying attention to what America was wanted, they would have brought me back. But anyways, they fired me, and then they fired him after they realized Malibu was bringing in some heat for the show, some good stuff. And then I got called to do the live tour. And of course, I'm super excited. I go, this is my chance to, come back again. And so we started off in Maine, and it was really cool. They had couple rock and roll buses for us, and just like the rockers when they go from stadium to stadium. And I just remember being on this rock and roll bus going, this is just cool. This is just really, really fun. And we would go to venue. Not a lot of time to sleep. We try and sleep when we're driving. And then we do radio interviews and things like that. And then we go to different venues. The coolest venue, Mike, by far, wonderful experience is Madison Square Garden. Being on the floor of Madison Square Garden with 20,000 people going nuts is like an eye opener. You just realize, I was really realized right then how popular the show had become because just people with just losing their minds. It's like they're looking at rock stars. It was awe inspiring and really cool. So a story happened, if you don't mind, I'll tell you a little really cool story that happened there at Madison Square Garden. I'll never forget it. So we're signing autographs every day in the middle of the show. Every show we do autographs like halftime. And this young boy came up in a baseball cap, and he said, "Hey Malibu, you're my favorite. I love you. Blah blah blah. Will you please sign my cap for me?" I go, "Hey buddy, I'm absolutely love to." He takes his cap off, and all I see is face. He's got no hair in his head. He's chalk, like green white. He said, "Yeah, my wish before I passed away from brains, he had some kind of brain cancer or something." He goes, "Is to see the American Gladiators." He goes, "Would you please sign my hat?" And I go, "Oh, buddy, for sure." He goes, "You're my favorite." I go, "Oh, thank you, buddy. Thank you. What a blessing." And I'm signing his hat. He goes, "Malibu, I want you to have this." And he had a gold cross on his chest, like literally gold cross. And he takes it off and goes, "Will you please take this?" And I go, "Buddy, I can't take your cross. I can't." He goes, "No, it's okay." And I said, "No, buddy, listen, I thank you." And he goes, "No, my mom said it's okay. She wants you to have it." So this kid gives me this gold cross because I looked over, I saw his mom, and she's going, "Yeah, please take it." And I'm going, "Wow, what a gift." So I put it on my neck, give him a hug, and I said, "Buddy, hang in there, hang in. Thank you so much." And not even 5 minutes later, Mike, this other kid comes up to me and he's got a hat on too. And he goes, "Malibu, same thing. You're my favorite. You're the greatest gladiator. Will you sign my hat?" I go, "Sure, buddy." So um, I'm signing his hat, and it's another sick little boy, really sick. And it was like, how are the odds of this happening? Right. So he comes up and goes, "Please sign my hat." Like, "Wow, yeah, of course, buddy, of course." So I signed his hat. I said, "Pal, you're the greatest. You're the greatest." I took that gold cross off and I put it on his shoulders. I said, "Don't ever forget about me. I love you, buddy. Hang in there." And it was like a God shot, just like a total God shot at that minute because that kid was just so happy. And so for one kid gave me something and I was able to bless another kid with it. And it just turned out to be like a double blessing. It was awesome. So I will never forget that. It was really cool.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That's a cool story.
Yeah, yeah, it's all it really is.
And you're not just a gladiator. You also have some acting experience that I want to talk to you about.
Sure,
And
sure,
one of the
sure.
things I want to talk to you about is one of my favorite shows. A lot of people that have come on this show has been on this show. It's a little
Oh,
launching pad. And it's a little
oh.
show called Married with Children.
Yes, yes,
So can
yes,
you tell us
yes.
what it was like working on Married with Children?
Oh my gosh, my very, very first acting job. Very cool. I mean, I was a personal trainer, and the executive producer's wife happened to be one of my clients. And she said, "What do you want to do with your life?" I said, "Oh, I want to be an actor. I'm studying to be an actor." And she goes, "Well, funny thing, my husband produces a show called Married with Children." And I hadn't seen the show at that point. And I go, "Oh, really?" She goes, "Yeah, I want you to audition because they're looking for somebody." So I went down, auditioned, did a good job, I guess, but I was going to get hired anyways because she was, as long as I could put two words together, I was going to get the job, right? So I went on, and I had so much fun. The gal who played Peg, what a doll! She was just totally classy, absolutely gorgeous, sweet, really fun, really a cool lady. So I just had an absolute ball filming that show, and it was really, really fun. And man, the traction I got, so many people seen that, see me in it. And so, yeah, it was great. My very first acting job.
And you were on a lot of action and horror sci-fi films
Yeah.
throughout the years. I want to know what kind of experience did you have in stunt work that you landed those roles?
So it really super good question. I think a lot of my stunt ability came from my athletic background. I played sports the whole time. I was an upper professional level racquetball player, and so I had a lot of really good agility, and I was able to move. I knew my body really well because I did martial arts growing up and boxing. Um, Not enough to be dangerous, but just enough to look really good. And so I used all that in these films, and the more I worked on the films, I was working with these phenomenal martial artists. I mean, world renowned martial artists. And so I would learn more and more and more every single time. So within 5 years, I'd done like 10 movies and I just got better and better and better as I went. And so that was probably one of the greatest schools I could have ever gone to. And I was getting paid for it. So super fun.
Now let's talk about a couple of the films that you were in. I want to know what you did in these films and what it was like working on them. So one of them, you were in a Mortal Kombat movie.
So, yes. So I was in one movie called Immortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Um, Immortal Kombat was a blast. I got to work with Roddy Piper, who's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. A guy named Sonny Chiba, who was a legendary martial artist. I think he was from Japan. Um, Legendary swordsman, had done many movies, super famous. A lot of people didn't know about him in America, but man, what a neat guy and what an amazing martial artist. So, had a great time working with him. A lot of fun, learned a lot. Roddy and I got along great. We just had a ball together. He let me do whatever I wanted to do. I told Roddy, go, Roddy, I'm the bad guy. So what do you think in this scene is I get you face to face and I lick your face and I spit in your face like that. And I'm thinking he's going to go, yeah, yeah. He goes, I love it, brother. I love it. I'm going right on. So he let me pick him up over my shoulders, throw him through a chicken coop. I mean, we had a ball. We had so much fun together. So yeah, great, great experience. Super fun.
And then you were also in one of the Batman movies, Batman Forever.
Right. And actually Batman and Robin. So um, how that worked out is I went an audition for the show called Falling Down with Michael Douglas. And the director's named Joel Schumacher. He passed away, but he's one of the biggest directors. He did Lost Boys. He did a bunch of really cool movies. Anyways, Joel really liked me. He saw my stunt reel and he put me in Falling Down. And then he hired me to be in Batman and Batman and Robin. And man, that was so much fun. I got to work with the greatest guys and be on a production that was unbelievable. I mean, just the food was fantastic. Everything was first rate. We had a ball. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
And then is it true you were also in Elvira, Mistress of the Dark?
Yes, yes, but a very,
Elvira's
very
movie.
okay, funny story about how I got this job. So they put it on the trade paper. They're looking for exotic dancers. Now, in my mind's eye, I'm thinking like Chippendale exotic dancer. Guy who can move and dance and do that. It's like, oh, I can do that. So I get there, and there's 150 professional, phenomenal. And she wanted, when I said exotic, they wanted different, weird looking people and this and that. So I'm going, okay. I'm in the back of the pack, and they get a choreographer, and they're going do this and hip thrust and move, and they're all doing it to the beat. They're going this way, Malibu's going that way. They're going up, I'm going down. I made a total fool of myself. They cut 75 people right away, and they didn't cut me. And I'm going, how could he not miss me at 6'4", 220 pounds? So he did it again, and it was even the choreography was even like more difficult. And I go out there and make a bigger fool out of myself. They cut 25 guys, and I'm still standing there, but I'm watching these people all laughing their butts off. And I go, they're laughing at me, of course. So they did one more time. And of course, I was a total jackass, but they saw me laughing at myself and having fun. I knew I stunk. And after it was all over, they pulled me up and said, you obviously stink as a dancer. And I go, I know. He goes, but you are having so much fun. And we love the way you look with your long hair. Would you like to be in the movie? And I said, heck yeah. So that's how I booked that job. It was really cool.
And another show that you were on is a little known show, but I actually watched the show and I enjoyed it. It got canceled a little too quickly, I think, but it was called Nikki on the WB.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I forgot about that.
What
Oh
did you
yeah.
do on Nikki?
You know what? I wish I would have to go back and see that. I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I mean, I remember being on the set. I had a ball. I played some. I mean, I think played some cheesy hunky guy or something like that. But man, no one's ever asked me that question before. I'm gonna have to go back and try and find it on YouTube and check it out. Now that you said that,
See, I had to throw that one in there when I saw that on your resume. I said I gotta ask him about that one because I watched that show. I liked that show.
I did. I thought it was great too because I watched it afterwards. I go, this is a cute show, really
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, but yeah, boy, thanks, Mike. I'm gonna have to look at that one now.
Yep. Re-jogging your memory here.
Yes, definitely.
Now, another thing that rejogged your memory recently is you did get to participate in a couple of documentaries about American
Right,
Gladiators, one on
right,
ESPN 30 for 30 and then Netflix Muscles and Mayhem. So, can
right.
you tell us what it was like working on those two documentaries?
Sure. Well, man, what that's a super great blessing, man. I mean, I got a call from ESPN, and then Dan was kind of producing and spearheading the Muscles for Mayhem show. And I started talking to ESPN first, and I met the director Ben, and they're saying, "Listen, we want to do your story right. We're going to interview. Would you be willing to do this show?" And I go, "Absolutely, I'd love to do it." And so at the same time, Dan was saying, "Hey, what do you think about Muscles of Mayhem?" And Dan was telling me, you got to kind of pick one or the other. And I said, "Oh, Dan," I said, I just committed to the other one. I said, "But why, why not come on your show?" And then I thought about it. I said, "You know what? It's probably best that I just stick with one." So I actually didn't work on the other one. They used to use old footage and stuff like that. And had I known they were going to use me at all like that, I would have just gone on and just done it live and looking like I am now and stuff like that. But great experience. I felt totally thankful that I was used on both of them. Got great feedback. I love the ESPN. I love them both. I thought they were both really well done. Very different, perspectives. But I love the ESPN one because they don't, they kind of dove into some of the grittier, tougher stuff, like what would happen to Thunder and that tragic story about him, and more the nitty gritty stuff. And so I thought that was a really, really great experience, and I was super thankful for it because I get to do podcasts like yours all the time, which is great.
Yep. And can you tell everybody what you're up to nowadays?
Yeah. So these days I'm married. I just got married to this awesome, awesome woman who treats me like a king, better than I deserve. Um, and we got married April 20th, and it's been like a slice of literal heaven on earth for me. I have fun with her. I mean, I literally look forward every day to seeing my wife, and she's my best friend, and it's awesome. So, being married, and also I am now also a drug and alcohol coach, a counselor. So I work with a lot of addicts, alcoholics, drug addicts, pornography people that are stuck in pornography, any type of addiction. And I've been doing that for about the last 5 years because something we didn't talk about was prior to that, with all the injuries that I had, I ended up developing a really bad addiction to painkillers. And it literally took over my life. I mean, it's when people talk about addiction, they may usually think about the heroin addict in the street, and this drugs will tear you apart. I mean, you mess with them, and if you got the wrong, type of brain chemistry, if you have any kind of addictive personality, they're going to take you down. And at the time, when the doctor asked me about using this Oxycontin stuff, he said, "Well, do you do any drugs?" I go, "No, I've never drank a beer in my life. I've not been drunk. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke pot. I've never done a drug." He goes, "Well, then you probably don't have an addictive personality." Well, Mike, all I do is shows that are action, hitting, fighting, jumping through flaming buildings. I was an adrenaline junkie. So I was an addict. I just didn't realize that it was all in there. And plus, my mom was addicted to alcohol for a while. So I was very susceptible. So I got hooked on this stuff really badly for about 8 years, and it really stole a lot of my life. And when I had also had a really bad hip injury, and I needed to get a hip replacement surgery. And so I just remember one day, honestly, getting on my hands and knees and said, "God, either you help me get through this horrible situation and you help me live through this, and I'll keep on giving you my life, or just take me to heaven now because I can't live like this anymore. I mean, Mike, I was so miserable. I didn't look at my face in a mirror for a year at one point. I was in so much pain. I couldn't even walk from the shower to the refrigerator without crutches. It was like some of the worst pain I've ever dealt with. And after a while, you use these painkillers and they just stop working. You take more and more and more, and the effects become less and less and less. And that's the danger of this stuff. So, anyways, I just said, God, if you get me through this to get the hip replacement, I'll do everything I can to get clean. So after I had the hip replacement surgery, um, I went to rehab and I wiped out. I came out of rehab and I started using again. And I went back in again and finally it took. And so I stayed in for like 5 months. And when I got out, I said, okay, I'm going to dedicate my life to helping people because America in general just doesn't understand the psychology of addiction and how it literally hijacks your brain and changes the neural pathways in your brain so that if you don't have it, you're depressed, you're miserable, you feel terrible. It's awful. And I wouldn't wish this on anybody. So I've been doing that. I was just on the phone counseling somebody earlier tonight. And I'm doing it constantly. I'm working with my pastor right now. He's had a food addiction his whole life. And now he's finally starting to get it. He didn't want to believe he was an addict. He didn't want to believe that you could be addicted to food. And he's very, very, very overweight. But the nicest man, I would lay my life down for this guy. So it can get anybody. It really can. And I don't mean to make this a PSA about, drug counseling and stuff, but it's so near and dear to my heart. And I'm also highly involved in Christian ministry. I've been doing that for 15 years, well, 20 years. So, I mean, that's the most important thing. And that's the one thing I wanted to stand out more than anything when I was acting is I really wanted to glorify God with my attitudes and my love for people, not cram my religion down anybody's throat. I'm not about that. I let everybody believe what they want. I love everybody. I don't care if you're gay, straight, transsexual. I love everybody. And that's generally my heart. I have no judgment, but I love to share my faith. And it's very near and dear to me. And I know for a fact that God does miracles because I'm sitting here talking to you and I'm not dead from the drug. So that's kind of what I've been up to. Oh yeah, personal training. I do a lot of personal training also.
Awesome. And now you know what time it is? It's time for the lightning round, where I'm
Oh,
going to name you two things and you tell me which one you prefer. Do you prefer
okie dokie.
coffee or an energy drink?
Coffee.
Would you rather eat fish or take fish oil?
Eat fish.
What is scarier to drive through, a bridge or a tunnel?
Ooh, probably me a bridge because I had a real phobia about this bridge in San Francisco that we used to go over. It was the Hayward Bridge. And you drive up really super high in this Hayward Bridge and it would go down and it was like level with the water. I used to have dreams about going up and then going down and the bottom was just ocean. So it'd be a bridge for sure.
Crossword puzzles or word searches?
Ooh, word search.
Baseball or football?
Oh man. I love them both. Seriously. Football.
80s or 90s?
80s for sure.
The best part about autumn, the leaves changing colors or pumpkin spice flavor season?
Ah, pumpkins. I love pumpkins.
Better beach game, ultimate frisbee or volleyball?
Ooh, great question. Beach volleyball.
Would you rather text someone or call someone?
Call for sure.
Air guitar or air drums?
Definitely air guitar.
Would you rather be clever or driven?
I think I'd rather be clever.
And finally, laser tag or paintball?
Ooh, paintball, because I love to get into it. So I'd love to feel the paintballs hitting me. So it's got to be paintball.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Can you tell
Absolutely.
everybody how they can keep up and find out what you're up to?
So yeah, thank you. I do this. Some people freak out. I'm gonna give you a contact number for me. If anybody wants to do podcasts, but especially if anybody out there is struggling with drugs, alcohol addiction, pornography, or know somebody that is struggling and you need help, you need some guidance. I don't charge for my counseling. It's donation only. So don't feel like you got to pay me anything. It's a ministry for me. You can give me a call. You can find me on Facebook if you want, but you can call me or text me better. You text me at 818-612-4304. That's 818-612-4304.
Okay, awesome. And thank you again for joining us here today. And thank you guys for watching. We will talk to you all soon. Bye, everybody.
See ya.